This is the most desperate moment for the male lion ride. On one occasion, while patrolling his territory, he was surrounded by 20 hyenas. Still being a sub-adult, he didn't have the strength to take on a whole clan of hyenas alone. Facing the repeated harassment from the hyenas, even though Ride fought back with all his might, it was to no avail. He sat down, attempting to protect his vulnerable areas from a rear attack by the hyenas. But the rapid decline in his stamina put Ride in a desperate situation. Just as he was about to give up, a shadow suddenly charged into the battlefield. In the Maasai Mara Reserve in August, the once famous Marsh Pride was on the brink of collapse. The breakdown of cooperation within the pride caused several adult male lions to leave together, leaving behind only the adult lioness's Charm and her sister Siena, along with a few sub-adult cubs, struggling to survive. The survival of the pride immediately plunged into immense difficulty. To restore their former glory was now nearly impossible. Since Siena had to stay and look after the cubs, Charm had no choice but to venture out on her own to hunt. After several heavy rains, a large number of herbivores migrated here. One wildebeest was enough to feed the pride, but this large meal was still a considerable challenge for Charm hunting alone. She lowered her body, using the cover of the grass to quietly approach her prey. By the time the wildebeest sensed the unusual sound, it was too late. The moment Charm pounced, she quickly locked onto the wildebeest's throat. Although the wildebeest struggled with all its strength, as the time of the chokehold prolonged, a suffocating feeling came over it. While clinging tightly to the wildebeest's head, Charm's hind legs were constantly kicking, and eventually, the unbalanced wildebeest was successfully brought down. The Marsh Pride finally got their long-awaited meal. The cubs, led by their aunt Siena, rushed over, enjoying this hard-earned food. However, the pride's survival problem was not solved yet. As the cubs grew bigger, their food intake was increasing day by day. This forced Charm and Siena to take turns going out to hunt. That evening, it was Siena's turn to hunt. She set off at dusk, unaware that a fatal crisis awaited her ahead. When the sun rose again, Siena had not returned. It turned out that during the hunt the previous night, she was severely wounded in the abdomen by the wildebeest's sharp horns. The intense pain made even standing up a luxury. Losing her ability to move on the crisis-ridden savanna, she could become the target of attack by hyenas or other lion prides at any moment. A few days later, Siena was able to walk with great difficulty, but her body was extremely weak. She urgently needed to eat to regain her strength. She found a herd of wildebeest on the savanna. Without much probing or stealth, she directly launched an attack. In a short moment, she successfully trapped a wildebeest, but the prolonged struggle did not bring the animal down, and instead, the wildebeest struggled free from her grip. Siena was too weak. Her stamina was no longer enough to sustain a complete hunt. Siena's disappearance cast a dark cloud over the already struggling Marsh Pride. Charm may have realized that Siena had met with misfortune. With no other choice, she bravely took on the responsibility of hunting alone. 2-ton hippos were definitely not something she could take on, and she couldn't afford to provoke the herds of huge elephants either. Charm could only cautiously search for suitable prey on the savanna. Just then, a rustling sound came from behind her. It turned out a clan of hyenas was not far behind her. This was undoubtedly adding insult to injury for Charm, who was hunting. Looking at the wildebeest in front of her, she could only hope to quickly catch the prey before the hyenas caught up. Taking advantage of the wildebeest's unawareness, Charm swiftly launched a charge and successfully pinned the prey to the ground. But as expected, the commotion immediately drew the attention of the hyenas. Just as they were about to launch an attack, a shadow suddenly charged into the battlefield. She was Charm's daughter, Yaya, who was about to become an adult. Yaya had discovered her mother's predicament and rushed over to support her. With her daughter's help, the mother and daughter successfully chased away the hyena clan. This hunt was full of peril. The The Pride once again obtained the much-needed food. What comforted Charm was the growth of her daughter Yaya. She was about to join the ranks of adults and would become a great help to her mother in the future. This reassurance also dispelled some of the gloom in Charm's heavy heart from losing Siena. At this time, Charm's son, Tattoo, was already 3 years old. The thick mane growing daily was a sign that he was nearing adulthood. He and his brother Ride were about to form a male coalition to carve out their own territory. However, at this point, they still relied on the Pride for sustenance. Perhaps the increasing strength made him feel incredibly confident. Tattoo even wanted to challenge a 2-ton hippo. The hippo didn't pay any mind to these two sub-adults. Watching Tattoo charge towards it, the hippo symbolically ran a few steps. Then it turned around and launched a countercharge at the two brothers. This childish challenge ended with Tattoo's retreat. Upon returning to the Pride, his siblings greeted him warmly. But the next moment, he pulled on his mother's head and started to playfully demand attention. Looking at her good son, Charm was also helpless. Meanwhile, the nearly adult Ride began trying to patrol the boundaries of the Marsh Pride's territory, but he unexpectedly encountered a heart-stopping scene. He accidentally stumbled into the Hyena clan's activity range. He was instantly discovered by the Hyenas. Facing this sub-adult male lion, the Hyena clan showed no fear. The sharp cackling sounds kept ringing in Ride's ears. It was too late to escape now. Knowing the hyena's attack strategy well, he immediately squatted down in a defensive posture. As the two long-standing rival species, the Hyena clan showed no hesitation and immediately launched an attack on Ride. Under the continuous biting of the hyenas, Ride's stamina was rapidly draining. Defeat seemed only a matter of time. Just then, a shadow suddenly charged over. The newcomer was his brother, Tattoo. He had discovered his brother's predicament and charged into the battlefield without hesitation. The Hyena clan no longer had their earlier arrogance and had to sneak away in defeat. Following this incident, the bond between Tattoo and Ride deepened. This bond, forged in life and death, would not only become their support for venturing out in the future but also the guarantee of their unconditional trust in each other. Siena, who had been missing for weeks, miraculously survived. But she had been living miserably these days. She barely sustained her life by relying on scraps of food on the savannah. The belief in returning to the Pride and reuniting with her sister became her only driving force to hang on. Now, she finally gathered some strength and set off on the road home. When her silhouette appeared not far from the Pride, she was instantly discovered by the members. Siena weakly walked up to her sister. Even after a long separation, the sisterly affection remained as solid as ever. She quietly lay down next to Charm. Yaya also slowly walked over. When she saw the shocking wound on Siena, she instantly understood the ordeal her aunt had gone through. She affectionately rubbed against Siena, welcoming her return in a way unique to the Lion Pride. They lay neatly in the shade, sleeping together. The long-lost sisterly love filled Siena's heart, and this warmth was the biggest motivation for her to try her best to come home.